Hey, Amanda, this is Spartan. We're not able to hear you.
Same from FitNet. We're not getting the audio feed.
check, check. Audio test.
Check audio test works.
Thank you. Okay. We're good?
Okay.
Let's roll.
Thanks. Thanks for being patient. Thank you for joining us today for the final pitches of our Air Force CyberWorx Open Design Challenge. My name is Amanda Tobias, and I'm a project manager for the Air Force CyberWorx's partner intermediary, CTRAC, and I'll be guiding you through our event today. I'd like to share a little bit about the Air Force CyberWorx program and give you some background on the organization. Air Force CyberWorx is an Air Force program that partners airmen of all levels with industry partners and academia to rethink operational problems using human-centered design and agile design. If it doesn't work for people, it doesn't work. It's a quote that CyberWorx really, truly embodies. Innovation is a strategic practice that can be learned and incorporated into any organization. So CyberWorx is creating a culture in which airmen know how to collaborate, take risks, and think outside of the box. So how did we get here today? In April of 2017, we kicked off this Smart Bases initiative with Smart Bases 1. For this sprint, partners from industry and across the DoD came together to design ways in which we might improve Air Force bases of today by incorporating Internet of Things and smart technologies. From this came a recommendation to conduct a follow-on design sprint to articulate specific implementations and experimental design cases, including how might we make USAFA a smart base of the future. This recommendation spun up the fall semester of 2017 for a project where cadets and industry partners worked together to further advance that conversation on smart technologies in the Air Force and begin to explore practical solutions to common problems facing cadets and airmen. Use cases on smart technologies proved to have applicability across the Air Force, most specifically focused on health and fitness wearables. From that, Air Force CyberWorx decided to go into another design sprint and further narrow their focus on health and fitness wearables. So in March of 2018, participants focused designs around user experience regarding fitness, from agility of gathering aggregate data down to the daily fitness regimen of the individual airman. Air Force CyberWorx recommended to host a hackathon-style event inspired by the solutions that came out of the design sprint, and that created the Open Design Challenge that we are here today to see. We invited participants to take a closer look at ways to motivate airmen and promote a consistent fitness and wellness lifestyle. This included building innovative tools to enhance health and fitness across the Air Force. Teams were asked to develop concepts that incorporated the following requirements. They should be device agnostic. Users should be able to create their own profiles and input fitness goals, as well as gather information and aggregate group data. And leadership should have availability of data in real time and be able to coach and motivate airmen through the device. Air Force CyberWorx has continued to propel this initiative forward to meet the needs from the stakeholders, the Air Force A1. So speaking of our stakeholders, I'd like to introduce our official judges panel for today. First off, I would like to introduce Dr. Michael Parker. He's the Air Force A1 Chief Information Officer. Dr. Parker provides policy, guidance, and oversight for the development of plans and the design of future systems to ensure availability of personnel services for the Air Force warfighter. He's leading the charge on digital transformation to deliver a streamlined, automated, efficient, and remarkable airman experience. Next, we have Gregory Bennett, who's the Strategic Transfer Manager and Program Manager for Air Force CyberWorx at CTRAC. He was previously the Director of Research for an interagency center prior to retiring from the Air Force in 2017. Mr. Bennett now engages with the innovation ecosystem, conducting technology scouting and horizon scanning to identify emerging technologies for integration across the Air Force and federal government. And last but not least, we have Major Brandon Green, who is sitting in as a proxy for the Director of Air Force CyberWorx, Colonel Chiramonte. Major Green is the Air Force CyberWorx lead for mission support activities and has been with CyberWorx since before their official launch in August of 2016. In his current role, Major Green leads the full spectrum of Air Force CyberWorx's mission support activities, allowing the unit to function on a day-to-day basis. These gentlemen bring a background of innovation and forward-thinking technology, and we are honored to have their support for the Air Force CyberWorx program today. And we wouldn't be here today without our participants. The Open Design Challenge included multiple down select points, and these top 4 teams have shown dedication to engaging with and meeting the needs of the users. I would like to introduce and highlight each of our 4 finalists for today. First up, we have Team 1. Representing Team 1 is Dr. Adam Strang from the AFRL 711th Human Performance Wing. Dr. Strang is the director of AFRL's STRONG, which stands for Signature Tracking for Optimized Nutrition and Training Lab. In this role, Dr. Strang performs research to develop wearable physiological sensors, create training programs that integrate cognitive and physical exercise, develop predictive models of operator performance using advanced statistics, and vet performance augmentation technologies such as nutritional supplements and mindfulness techniques. He is also a certified and licensed athletic trainer with a PhD in cognitive psychology. To date, he has authorized more than 75 peer-reviewed research articles and presentations. Next, we have Bob Summers from FitNet. FitNet was founded in 2014 and has helped over 500,000 people with their daily fitness goals. They have been featured 465 times in the Apple App Store and named an App of the Future by the National Science Foundation and Mozilla Foundation. FitNet is led by Bob Summers, who is focused on practical applications of machine intelligence. Mr. Summers was born at Beale Air Force Base to 2 airmen, has a computer engineering degree from Virginia Tech and a master's degree from MIT. Next is our Team 3, Spartan Corps. Representing them today, I have Jess Lobin and Terry Torres from Spartan Corps.
Rick Tillery.
Rick Tillery. Sorry, my list is different. Spartan Corps was founded by a diverse team of military veterans with comprehensive real-world experience. We believe in the warfighter dedicated to the mission of their customers. Honors the cornerstone of the quality that drives their commitment to the work they do. Spartan leverages deep domain experience and proven performance in IT systems and architecture, systems engineering, software development, cybersecurity, infrastructure management, systems administration, and logical and program support. And last but not least is Team 4, is Strive Tech. And with us today, we have Colton Kelsey and Hayden Cardoza. And we would be remiss to not mention Mark Berry, who worked hard with the team, but is answering a call from the Army today. Strive Tech is a software company owned and operated exclusively by currently serving military, founded by 3 friends that met in the Army and decided to pursue software engineering as a team. They believe their background pairs well with the skills in order to fully understand the requirements of this challenge. But then without further ado, let's get these pitches started, because that's why we're all here today. First up, we have in alphabetical order by organization, Team 1, Dr. Strang from AFRL.
Great. Thanks for taking the time to listen today. I'm going to talk to you today about this concept I've been working on for the last couple of years called effects. I was looking out at the Air Force exercise training programs over the last couple of years and facing things where the health and wellness centers were being closed, where I was seeing a growing diversity of fitness challenges and needs across the different AFSCs, and thinking of common solutions that we use technology to essentially make this issue a little bit better. So what I developed was a concept that was based really heavily on using computational algorithms, specifically decision logic trees, to automatically prescribe and then adjust fitness programs on the fly. Next slide, please. So the real question is, what is it? So yeah, we're going to be delivering things on mobile platforms because I think that's the way people want to interact. But the real trick here is that things aren't going to be coming out as canned programs. They're going to be decided by your goals, your abilities, And then at a second layer, dealing with combating things that you would face in daily constraints, like not having time, not having equipment availability, to try to optimize and essentially lower the barrier to people entering into their fitness programs and complying with them over time. Next slide, please. So how does it work? Well, when you look out at the fitness industry or the app industry today, what you see are a bunch of siloed programs. So you might have to go to one app for your strength training, a different app for your running, and a third app to integrate your wearable. And they're not really talking well with one another. So what you need is an integrated system of apps that would provide you access to a whole holistic program. The other really kind of nice advantage to this is that you would have one centralized place to be able to find your calendars, one centralized place to kind of track your progress, and one centralized place to interact with any other, like if you were sharing it with a group or your commander or you were working with a fitness professional, that you could house it all in one location. Right now, we're trying to kind of piece this together. You can see companies like Apple trying to do it with their Apple Health app, but it's not really working fluidly. And I think the key to that is instead of trying to stitch together a bunch of COTS technologies or companies that aren't interacting well with one another, is that you create your own system from the ground up. Can you flip to the next slide, please? And then the questions are, well, what makes this innovative compared to what else would be on the market? So the idea here is to start out and give you, there's really 3 tiers to this. The first is developing personalized plans. And that's where we're talking about laying out maybe a 12 or 14-week program that really meets the goals that you're after, that is aligning also with your capabilities, that says things like, yeah, I really want to be able to work out about 3 times a week. Yeah, I'm trying to get ready for basic training. Yeah, I think I'm at this specific type of fitness level. And so we lay out your program. We can use evidence-based practice to kind of lay those out pretty effectively. But then things get in the way, right? Like, oh man, I forgot I had to go pick up my kids today. Oh, this meeting popped up. Oh, I forgot that, like I needed to run to the grocery store to grab something. So you need to be able to adjust on the fly to these daily constraints. And we want to do that real simply by just asking you a few questions a day, like where are you sore? What equipment do you have available to you? And then what type of, how much time do you have? And that will help set you or maybe adjust the daily routine. And then it's actually inside that routine where we start using information such as real-time physiological feedback from wearables to moderate the intensity of those workouts moving forward. On cardio, we've been really effective in the laboratory using it to essentially make you stay in specific heart rate zones so we're not pushing you too hard or under-training you. And then during resistance days, we actually use heart rate feedback, in this particular case, to guide dynamic rest intervals. So instead of saying you work out for a minute, take 30 seconds off, it's all adjusted to your ability to recover. In the future, and I've been working with some of this technology, we're going to start seeing the ability to actually look at biomechanics, so automatic exercise detection and form correction. We've been working on that kind of stuff in the lab, but it's just not quite ready yet. Next slide. All right, so what are the big payoffs? For our airmen, we get a plug and play, low barrier fitness program that's focused on making sure they're ready to do their missions. From the AFRL or CyberWorx side, we get a place for our tech transitions to land, and we can leverage big data analytics to get us moving. From the USOF, like Big Blue side, we make sure we're ensuring readiness, and we might be able to hit that holy grail of preventative healthcare. Last slide, please. And so I looked at this as a use case, one specific use case ROI, because I think it'll take about $1 million of investment to get this thing up and running in its complete form. But if you look at the number of injuries we're generating at just basic training alone, you'd only have to reduce or eliminate about 200 injuries per year to actually recoup it in a 1-year span, which is kind of wild given the fact that like 200 injuries might actually be in the realm of error. So once that's over, now that I've kind of finished up that last slide, I'd like to open up to questions. Oh, no need to go to the backup slides.
I'll go ahead and get started. Mike Parker, Air Force A1. Thank you for the presentation and your time. Really appreciate it. How do you foresee airmen attaining the app? Is there a subscription cost to the platform and the app itself? Is this a service provided capability? And how do you plan to authenticate users on the app itself?
Okay, so for the first question, I believe firmly that we should try to commercialize this. And then as part of that commercialization, we need to negotiate unlimited rights for our airmen. So the commercial company can go out and make I think the basic platform could be available, and they can choose to do subscription or advertising base. But I've actually already have a invention disclosure and patent in on some of these algorithms. And that's the idea, is really to make it completely free to our airmen all the time. Now, as far as authentication goes, what I'm really trying to avoid is having to do something like a CAC-enabled authentication every time you sign into the app. So what I'm thinking about doing is trying to make the argument that the fitness information that we're generating can stay distribution A unclassified with the encryption standard that we're going to put in place. When that information flows over to those dashboards, those readiness dashboards that you're seeing, that kind of last slide, that's when I think we're going to have to essentially cross the firewall and then put things that are going to be CAC enabled, because the combining of all that information will become more sensitive then.
Jefferson?
Yeah, one of the things that was kind of interesting that you included was nutritional data. What's your intent for capturing that, and how does that factor into the equation?
Yeah, I just brought a dietitian on staff and I said, can we do better than food logs? Like, I want to beat MyFitnessPal. Can we do better than that? Right. The answer to that right now is no, unfortunately, but we're working in that direction. So I've seen it happening in two ways. One is actually looking at biomarkers. So they're using for blood work to track what things that you're eating and whether interventions are being effective. The second way that I'm thinking about doing that is actually in the future, maybe either, this is kind of really futurist, embedded sensors that would go in like a mouthpieces, or ones that were actually moving around in your bloodstream to be able to track that in real time. Because I don't think we're going to be able to get away around food logs until those type of technologies become available. Well, I've seen some picture techniques as well, like trying to take a picture of a plate and then estimating its macro or micronutrient, but those are only work in very restricted facilities.
Thank you, Dr. Strang. So in the interest of time, we're going to keep moving on. So next up, we have Bob from FitNet, who's going to present his pitch to the panel.
All right, great. Does everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So resource constraints cause the Air Force to use a one-size-fits-all approach to physical fitness. This once-a-year system consists essentially of prescription and measurement. FitNet is a force multiplier for the Air Force PT team to enable a more continuous mission-specific approach, which implements an assessment, prescription, and motivation. So who do you want as your wingman? Do you want the person who failed the fitness test or the one who passed it? Actually, their studies have shown that people who have failed it are maybe more combat ready. In fact, there was one study that found that 23% of those who passed the Air Force fitness test are combat ready. That means that there's a lot of them that are not. So the need is a new fitness standard that's set up by Career Field with continuous assessment and programming to achieve this with varied demographics, cohorts, and forward duty stations. But this is a huge challenge, right? How could we create, say, 1,000 different fitness programs? What we need is a solution that can scale the Air Force's PT leadership. And the solution is that every airman should receive a mobile personal training solution that meets their specific mission needs. And along with that, it needs to allow for program compliance that can be tracked by wearables. So our solution uses machine intelligence combined with humans to continuously evaluate the impact of the program. So FitNet is the state-of-the-art real-time and on-demand digital fitness platform that uses data from the camera, from mobile wearables, and the mobile devices. All of this allows for personal training that can be scaled to over 300,000 airmen. So let's see what it looks like from a pictorial view. So this is the FitNet Airman Fitness Review Program. So the airman comes in, realize their goals are their forward duty station, all kinds of things like their personal, their demographic, their history. You might also implement and integrate in current Air Force results from the past. And this comes in to set a plan. Now, there's a human involved here that's making a decision as to what kind of plan would be specific for this particular individual. But as time goes by, the machine intelligence starts to understand the patterns to actually assist that human in setting that plan. As the airman completes this module, they can share this out to their fitness group for motivation. The trainer can review it and reassess in a continuous process. So at the heart of FitNet, this is a live app that's currently in the iOS App Store and also available for Android, is that the individual selects their goal, they enable Apple Health, and Android has a similar program. that brings the wearable data into the ecosystem. The app itself is really simple to use. It's beautifully designed. I can look at my current metrics I'm trying to track. I can access my coach. I can look at my today's stream of activities I'm supposed to do. And then I can add activities and look at my profile and goal. So here in adding an activity, I can pick the style and intensity, realize that these groups of things would be specific based on the program set by the Air Force PT. Now it can go beyond, this is showcasing our video platform on demand, but it can also be running challenges or anything that can be captured with a mobile wearable. So Fitnet scales to support the needs of the fitness standard for each career field, demographic, and duty station combination. So at the heart of Fitnet is actually a video capture system that does on-demand, plus using the video camera to capture how the person is complying with a particular program. The video is recorded and sent back to the trainer for evaluation, as well as all the wearable data is captured in parallel, including heart rate. So the system also allows for live video calling, because there's times when the assessment requires maybe a 10 or 15-minute live call, so that someone can be anywhere in the world and work with the central force at the Air Force. So the solution also includes a coaching side. So there's two applications, one for the airmen and one for the PT team. The PT team can produce their own content. They can use other off-the-shelf content. They can also manage their challenge groups. So what we suggest is a pilot to get to market would be 500 airmen over 6 months in 5 career fields and 3 fitness trainers. These would be Air Force staff. We want to look at, can Fitnet improve the sustained combat readiness in this particular cohort? And how many airmen can this personal trainer serve effectively? And how does our machine intelligence help improve that efficiency? And finally, what do we do to take this pilot to 5,000 airmen? So to sum it up, an updated fitness test and Fitnet equals mission success. You know, Fitnet is a force multiplier for the Air Force PT team, which can enable a more continuous mission specific approach, which implements assessment, prescription, and motivation, which is a more modern approach to fitness for the organization as a whole. Thank you. I can now take questions.
Okay, we're going to open it up to the panel. So if anybody has a question.
Yes, sir.
The one question I have for you, Bob, is when it comes to the calls and the fitness trainer and having that on demand for Air Force personnel, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that seems like it could be a potential cost problem in terms of the number of calls, or can you just speak to that a little bit more for me?
Yeah, so in the beginning use cases, there'll be a lot more human-to-human interaction as we design these programs. Like, realize that you could say at a central function, say at the Pentagon, describe all of these fitness programs. But the better way to do about it would be to use these personal trainers out in the field and talk with people one-on-one, understand their needs, their goals, understand the mission criterion, and develop those programs. So at the beginning, it will be a lot more human-to-human, kind of a less scalable, but the result is a very, very specific program that over time can be reused, if that would make sense. So at the beginning, we start with an empty palette, but then we start building dozens, 50, 100 different specific programs, so that, say, in 2 or 3 years of usage, there's actually an inventory of programs that when someone comes in with X assessment, the program is assigned. And you might use this live aspect with a personal trainer less.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Great presentation. Mike Parker, A1 CIO. My question is about platform cost, subscription value. How are you envisioning the 500, then 5,000, then 500,000 airmen to access this app? Is there a subscription cost for the headquarters that you're envisioning? And you made a hypothesis to start with about the failed versus passed, maybe not necessarily being directly correlated to the current testing with a pretty dated reference. Do you have a more recent reference on that?
Yeah, so two parts there. So one, the application would be free for airmen to use, to downloadable from the app stores onto their end devices. So we wouldn't expect, this is a consumer grade application that exists in the marketplace. But we think that there would be a license for the Air Force for their PT staff to implement it from an organizational perspective. On the second question, sorry, what was the second question?
You started with your hypothesis that the PT test doesn't necessarily correlate to mission readiness.
Right.
There's a disconnect between the current testing and a true assessment of fitness, and the reference was about 10 years old. Do you have a current data point that you could provide on that?
Yes, sir. So this was the best data that we could get in the time of this particular challenge. So we came, we did make several attempts to talk with a number of folks in the Air Force to get some updated data on this, but this was the best we could get. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, last question is going to go kind of dovetail off Mr. Bennett's earlier question. So with respect to the on-demand trainers that are available, what would you, these folks are not doing that for free. I think in your backup slides, it was like highlighting a military spouse who, right, is, possibly following her husband around and just kind of working on base. Is the idea that they're doing this kind of ancillary to what their normal business is, or are they being paid for this directly? So that being another cost that the Air Force would need to address, or is that cost then passed along to the airmen requiring the live coach?
Yeah, it's really the workforce for this there's two sides of it. So one is full-time staff with the Air Force that are currently in place that are maybe struggling to keep up with some of these things. This is new technology for them. And then secondarily to that there is this really large untapped resource, which are spouses of the warfighter. So the average personal trainer only works 17 hours a week, and they're hard up looking for new work to do. And I've found dozens and dozens of them to be military spouses that are ready to participate. This would be an additional expense, but it's one that is holistic in that it's helping the families, it's helping the military family, it's helping the military as a whole. So it's a win-win there. It would have to be factored in, but the result is what you're getting here is a high-touch solution that is really personal and mission ready for all scenarios. So it does have a higher cost in terms of human labor, but in the long run, machine intelligence allows it to scale more exponentially, if that makes sense.
So follow up to that, generally, what are we talking about in terms of the ballpark figure that, these physical trainers are kind of charging, per hour or per session?
So in these particular, we're able to get a trainer to commit to $50 per month to do 15 minutes a week per person. Yeah, so it's $20 to $30 an hour.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. So I'd
Thank you.
like to invite Spartan Corps to step up and present their pitch for the panel.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity here and excited to bring our emerging technology to CyberWorx. My name is Jess Loban. You've got the two of us here at Spartan that have served in both the Army and the Air Force. And go ahead, Rick.
I'm Rick Tillery, not Terry Torres, as was on the previous thing. I'm the CIO for Spartan and been in the military 25 total years. I'm still a reservist, and this is really important to us to maintain these standards across the board. Go ahead.
So what we're bringing to bear is Biometric Asset Management System, BAMS. BAMS is developed, we've been working on this for about 3 years now, and it is a easily integratable to the airman's daily life to capture all aspects of their biometric health. We have a quick example here. The sleeve is really the platform. That's slide 9 in our deck. It's a fully integrated top to bottom biometric measurement and communication system that also integrates accelerometer and GPS location, can be leveraged for safety, health, and welfare, and brings a myriad of in-field information to bear that helps us build a complete profile of the individual airman. And behind this technology is our Spartan Logic platform, and I'll turn over to Rick for that.
So what we have within the sleeve itself is a way to gather all the information off of each one of the biometric sensors, sweat analysis, heart rate, all of those things. It feeds it into a local storage drive, or it can go directly to the phone, or it can go onto the cloud. So as it goes into each one of these, you create the individual user profile, their biometric login when they're first set up. They log into it. They can start creating their own pieces to it. They can actually create the programs that they want to do. We gather the data off of this, and we start collecting it for the units themselves within the Spartan Logic program. It scales across the whole Air Force. There is no limit right now. We have this sent out. The underlying database that we utilize for the platform is currently deployed on the space station, and we are utilizing their platform as an underlying piece, with ours building the dashboards of each unit so they can do all the profiles they want, and you can share it across the world. Mm-hmm. So you can go from Germany to the United States, you know, California to Korea, Japan, anywhere you want to, and there's no worries about it. The mobile app that works on the phone, and if they don't have their phone with them, it records it to the storage drive. You take the storage drive, you can put it in their own computer and upload their data.
We're really excited about BAMS. BAMS is something that's emerging in multiple platforms and multiple areas. We've had great conversations with SOCOM and JSOC. We also have an effort that's bringing this to our first responders to be able to protect firefighters in harm's way. It's a very exciting program, and it's holistic in approach. If you go through our package, it shows how we are able to bring these critical biometrics and run them side by side with the current physical fitness routine and process that we have today, be able to help correlate and build that true physiological health to performance in the PAT, to be able to bring it out of that. And in Spartan, we have multiple levels of what we call readiness level. And we go from a level 1, who is someone in remedial care, all the way to somebody who's outstanding in level 5. And there are different levels that would not have to test, some would, and all of that's outlined in our documentation. But the wrap up of this is to bring a technology that the airman can throw on at any point in time for exercise, be able to gather all of this information and really break out from the canned and sometimes restrictive PT exercise and bring it into what their physiology responds best to. So if they want to do swimming, or if they want to do kayaking, hiking, biking, running, climbing, whatever it is, we're able to capture, go with them. And this is a lifestyle change. This is a groundbreaking adjustment to how we look at physical fitness in the military. And that's it.
So any questions?
Thanks, Guy. Get some questions going from the panel.
Hi, it's Mike Parker, Air Force A1 CIO. Thanks for your time and effort and demonstration. Great presentation. Appreciate it. First question deals with the cost of production. It seems like as we scale more production, the cost per unit goes down. Have you thought about other innovative ways to partner with other organizations to get mass production in place? It seems to be a fairly pricey device for an airman to pay for, or for headquarters to replace.
Right.
And in that same vein, is this waterproof device?
Yes. Yeah, it's waterproof, plus there is economy of scale. And like I mentioned, we have a first responder segment that is moving forward. We've got 6 major fire departments involved. We also have professional athletes and a myriad of medical, sports medicine professionals involved. And as we increase volume and start to ramp up and build those logistics lines, the price will go down for everyone involved.
And we are currently looking at the different manufacturing companies to try to get our lowest cost per unit down that is really receivable for the Air Force.
Yep.
Have you guys, sorry, this is Greg Bennett from C-Track. Have you explored other form factors or other materials to try and bring the cost down at all?
Absolutely. We actually have the form factor for, say, fire departments is very different. It's actually entire shirt, and then form factor for some specific sports go from a belt to. There's all sorts of different form factors. It depends on what sensor sets are required, because we do everything from complex sweat analysis through the myriad of different sensors. We've got, yeah, we have over a dozen. We also have environmental for our military applications. We've got NBC detectors. We've got hydrogen cyanide detectors for the firefighters. So
the platform can scale from a wearable watch type application to a sleeve, to a belt, to an undershirt, those types of things. And each one of those do have an economy of scale of where the price can go down, and you can start with, level A up to, hey, I want Mac Daddy Extra L. Let's go with that, you know?
And the reason we picked the sleeve was economy of scale will come in, because that's really the form factor that our commercial efforts are looking at. And so we'd be able to get savings to the Air Force faster through the sleeve.
Yeah.
Just a real quick question on the data. You talked about data at rest, data transmission from, I would assume, the Bluetooth device that's associated with the wearable. We've had a challenge in austere and remote environments with wearables. Mm-hmm. How would you plan to restrict the access of any type of communication from the device if in that type of environment?
So in any of the environments, actually what you're talking about with biometrics is gathering data from a human being, which can fall into the HIPAA platform. Therefore, 256 AES is a minimal. So it's going to be data at rest, data in transit, and all that, and as you know, if you're looking at it, it's unencrypted. So they'd have to be in that system. This solution can be broadcast across the world. If you're in an austere remote location and they're wearing it as a combat shirt, let's say, that combat shirt can broadcast out to a home unit, maybe their FOB somewhere. I was in FOB Andar, and we had the whole Sharana district, or Ghazni district, I'm sorry. And we have that ability to broadcast things back. Mm-hmm. You can keep a base station in a truck, an up-armored vehicle of some sort, and you can broadcast all that stuff back to it. And then from there, when they get back to the FOB, they can upload that, or they can upload it to the Gov Cloud to where they can share it back to the United States and see what's going on.
Yeah, and we've had a really great conversation and a partnership come together with Kinetic to provide some of their man-worn SATCOM. And so there's lots of opportunities for that for more of the deployed defense side of the system. There's about 5 different iterations of BAMs. So,
okay, thank you, Spartan. And let's get Strive Tech up, and we will go ahead with our final pitch for today.
Good afternoon. We are Strive Tech. My name is Colton Kelsey, and this is Hayden Cardoza. We are 2/3 of Strive Tech. Unfortunately, Mark Berry cannot be here as he is currently attending a course within the Army. We're all currently military members and met within our first unit in the Army, while Hayden and I have since enlisted in the Air Force Reserves. I actually swore in a couple hours ago. Mark is continuing his service in the Army. We are Strive Tech. We are a software solutions company, and we always enjoy a large project. Next slide, please. All right. Yep, absolutely. Yep, there we go. We are here today to discuss the Air Force Fitness Tracker, which we call the AFFT. Go ahead and next slide. The AFFT is a proprietary program being developed by Strive Tech to meet the requirements of the Air Force, utilizing a peer-to-peer interactive profile system. We have a strong understanding of the current systems in use to track fitness of military members, and we can all agree that it can be quite time-consuming. The AFFT is designed to relieve some of the tasks that currently fall on leadership. We know that leaders in the Air Force have plenty on their plate, and the successful launch of this application would allow for a quicker way to see how airmen are doing. Next slide, please. Yep. The key to success of this application is the simplicity of it. It is specifically designed to not be complex and allow everyone from a 20-year master sergeant to the E1 airmen fresh out of training to access and record their fitness. It will have a simple logon and profile creation system that anyone will be able to utilize regardless of browser type or phone model. You will not need complex systems for this to work. Simplicity means that it will be more dependable, it will be easier to maintain, and it will be much cheaper to fully implement. Next slide, please. It will allow airmen to not only record their fitness goals and stats, but it will also include all approved alternate events as well as age and gender. It will then track their stats over time and allow leadership to quickly identify areas of improvement. The AFFT will also facilitate communication from leadership down. There will be instant messaging as well as a calendar for scheduling PT events. This will also allow leadership to quickly and easily put the where, the when, and the what of a PT session out to their airmen, allowing for greater overall wing cohesion. This application will be fully functional on all mobile devices as well as desktop version upon final release. This will further the usability of the final product. Users will not have to wait for the opportunity to log into a desktop computer in order to annotate their results. Next slide, please. These functions will be scalable from direct supervisors all the way to wing commanders. This could also be used to collect metadata on the entire user base, allowing to quickly identify where the Air Force is at as a branch, as long as we have enough participating users. Next slide, please. We believe that keeping the application simple will allow for a seamless transition into the system. It will also increase usability. In our experiences, when a system is too complicated, users will see its use as a task instead of a tool. The backbone of this application is that it's consistent, accurate, and that users will see this as a useful assistant. This will inherently increase the user base, allowing for more accurate metadata to be available for research purposes. This is something that, being the simple nature of it, we could have this up and running fairly quickly and with a low cost in comparison. And now I'm open to any questions. I know that was really fast. So,
thank you, guys.
I'll go ahead and take the first one. It seems like you spoke multiple times about the intuitiveness and the usability and simplicity of the product. Can you expand a little bit more on maybe other apps that you're trying to, I don't want to necessarily say emulate, but learn as a benchmark to say, okay, much like this app and the intuitiveness and usefulness and almost viralability of those apps?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at military systems that we've already utilized, and we're also looking at existing fitness applications. We find that current fitness applications, they can try to do too much all at once. Not saying that we won't have features, however, there's just a lot going on the screen. And for individuals that aren't necessarily tech savvy, that could be like a turn away, right? So we're looking at military systems that we have personally used that just simply work. I know it's kind of a funny comparison, but you look at the difference between one military system that tries to do a lot all at once and then say MyPay. MyPay just works, no problems logging in, whereas System B, it has all kinds of issues no matter what's going on. So there isn't obviously a military system for fitness. However, we believe that just keeping things simple and easy to read will be the most effective way to accomplish the goals of the application.
Okay, just one quick follow-up. You highlighted MyPay, which is a good example. What about like any commercial applications out there that you think?
Absolutely. So the Samsung Fitness app, just the one that's proprietary to Samsung, it's actually a fairly decent example. I do believe that it requires a little bit too much as far as it tries to do a little bit too much all at once. However, it is very seamless in how it operates. I personally use it. That's just something that we're looking at, not necessarily to copy, but as potential inspiration. If you change that over to military specific information and just make it to where it's very streamlined and it works every single time, no problems, I think that would be really good.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, so Mike Parker, A1CIO, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Great presentation, highly usable and intuitive. My question's about time and cost to market.
Okay.
How do you see this scaling to a minimally viable product? How soon? How much?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
ultimately to a 500,000 airman force.
Okay, so looking at the time and cost, again, not implementing any specific hardware systems that aren't already in use by the Air Force. Something like a Fitbit, that could be potentially an option. We would intend to have usability for it. However, if an airman doesn't own it, can't force them to buy it. So we're looking at, for a prototype, probably 45 to 60 days working full time. Full outroll, we would look at a year. That is for desktop and mobile version. We all came to the conclusion that aside from server maintenance costs, other things that would have to be, we would have to discuss, looking at approximately $300,000 total for the full rollout.
One more question?
Okay, yeah, I do have kind of two quick questions. One is, I'm assuming based on the conversation that the user actually has to input their own data. It's not automatically captured.
For the desktop version, that would be true. For anaerobic exercises such as pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, that's going to need to be input by the user because there's no way to effectively track how many push-ups you're doing just off of the phone you have in your pocket. However, for things like runtime, calorie burn, heart rate, those are all things that modern smartphones already have the ability to collect, and that would be present in the final mobile version.
Okay. And some of the interaction on the device, it looks like it's almost a scheduling tool. Am I?
Yes, you could. That will be a function as well. So, for instance, if you have a leader that wants to have a dedicated PT session, he will have a network of the people that he is in charge of, he or she is in charge of, and then he can easily push out over the instant messenger system as well as the calendar system, push that out to his airmen. Hey, this time right here, we're going to go do PT. Right? That's just an additional function, but it still remains usable to the individual airmen just for their own benefit as well.
Okay. Thank you to all four teams for their pitches. So right now we are going to go offline and the judges are going to deliberate and make their final decisions based on the four pitches that they just heard. So we will have some videos to watch in the meantime, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes with the results. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for waiting patiently while our judges deliberated. So they have made their decisions. So I'm going to announce our winners because everybody here's a winner. So coming in fourth place, we have Team 2, FitNet. Our third place finalist was the Air Force Fitness Tracker by StriveTech. And our top 2, taking home the grand incentive, was BAMS by Spartan Core, with AFRL in a close second with their Affix. So I'd like to invite Spartan to give a couple of words of awesomeness.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're very happy. We appreciate the opportunity. Like we said before, this is a rolling tide, and so we're very thrilled to work with CyberWorx on this, and we're just ready to get to work.
Awesome. So again, I want to thank you for to all of our participants, and congratulations to all of you finalists. You did such great work. It has been a pleasure working with you, and I know all of our airmen that partnered along the way had great things to say about everybody. All of these concepts are truly innovative, and it is clear that you've put into your hard work and to get to today. I again want to thank our judges panel for providing their insights and evaluations throughout each step of this process. It's been about 7 weeks that we've been at this. And of course, thank you to all of our viewers who are tuning in from far and wide and may watch this at any point. And most importantly, thank you to all of our sponsors from all over the nation that continue to support Air Force CyberWorx in all of their initiatives. So in the future, head over to afcyberworx.org, and you can stay in touch with CyberWorx and all their upcoming projects, initiatives, participate in anything, follow on social media, and we'll see you again next time.